fake news or stories are prevalent, and it's easy to get confused. But there's no confusion. It's an important job in my life in terms of what I learned about both acting and producing.
Michael Douglas stands as one of Hollywood's most formidable figures, a cinematic titan whose influence spans 5 decades of groundbreaking filmmaking. From his early triumph as producer of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest to his iconic portrayal of Gordon Gekko, Douglas has carved an indelible mark on American cinema through sheer determination and uncompromising artistic vision. His 2 Academy Awards represent merely the surface of a career built on meticulous preparation, volcanic intensity, and an almost surgical precision in character development. Yet beneath the polished veneer of this legendary performer lies a reputation for exacting standards that have occasionally transformed film sets into creative battlegrounds. Douglas's pursuit of perfection has generated friction with some of Hollywood's most celebrated talents, creating tensions that transcended mere professional disagreements to become full-scale artistic conflicts. These weren't petty squabbles or tabloid fodder, but genuine clashes between powerhouse personalities who approach their craft with radically different philosophies. The rarefied atmosphere of A-list filmmaking often breeds such confrontations, where egos collide with creative vision and professional respect wars with personal animosity. Douglas's journey through Hollywood's elite circles has produced some of cinema's most memorable performances, but also forged adversarial relationships with 6 particular actors whose working styles prove fundamentally incompatible with his own demanding approach to the craft. 6. Shia LaBeouf. The 2010 production of Wall Street Money Never Sleeps should have marked a triumphant return for Michael Douglas's iconic Gordon Gekko character, but instead became a masterclass in generational discord. Shia LaBeouf, riding high on his Transformers success, brought an improvisational energy that immediately clashed with Douglas's methodical preparation techniques. Where Douglas approached each scene with mathematical precision, LaBeouf thrived on spontaneous creative bursts that frequently derailed carefully orchestrated sequences. Michael would arrive with every gesture mapped out, every inflection rehearsed to perfection, revealed a script supervisor who witnessed the daily tensions. Shia would show up ready to reinvent the wheel, suggesting dialogue changes and character motivations that sent Douglas into barely controlled fury. The philosophical divide extended beyond mere technique into fundamental questions about craft and professionalism. LaBeouf's notorious method acting approach, which included staying partially in character between takes, grated against Douglas's more traditional, compartmentalized style. During one particularly heated exchange over a pivotal father-son scene, witnesses reported Douglas questioning whether LaBeouf understood the difference between authentic emotion and theatrical indulgence. The younger actor's tendency to challenge directorial decisions further inflamed tensions, as Douglas valued hierarchical respect above collaborative chaos. Director Oliver Stone found himself constantly mediating between 2 incompatible philosophies of performance. It was like watching a classical pianist forced to jam with a punk rocker, Stone later confided to Variety. The experience left Douglas questioning whether Hollywood's new generation possessed the discipline necessary for serious dramatic work, while LaBeouf privately complained about working with dinosaurs who couldn't adapt. 5. Gwyneth Paltrow. The elegant psychological thriller, A Perfect Murder, in 1998 promised to showcase 2 of Hollywood's most sophisticated performers, yet behind the camera lurked creative tensions that threatened to derail the entire production. Gwyneth Paltrow, fresh from her Oscar-winning performance in Shakespeare in Love, arrived with ideas about character development that immediately put her at odds with Michael Douglas's more established approach to collaborative filmmaking. Paltrow's insistence on rewriting dialogue to reflect what she perceived as more authentic emotional responses created friction during rehearsals. Gwyneth would spend 20 minutes explaining why her character wouldn't say a particular line, recalled assistant director Andrew Davis. Michael's patience would visibly thin as she dissected every motivation with academic precision that bordered on pretentious analysis. The conflict intensified during pivotal scenes where Paltrow questioned the script's psychological realism, suggesting alternative interpretations that Douglas viewed as unnecessary complications. Her Harvard-educated intellectualism clashed with his instinctive understanding of character dynamics, creating an atmosphere where every creative decision became a philosophical debate. Producer Arnold Coppelson found himself mediating disputes over seemingly minor details that reflected deeper artistic disagreements. Douglas believed in trusting the material and the director's vision, Coppelson explained to Entertainment Weekly. Paltrow wanted to deconstruct every element until it met her personal standards of authenticity. The professional tension reached its peak when Paltrow suggested improvisational exercises to enhance their on-screen chemistry. Douglas reportedly responded with icy professionalism, stating that 40 years of experience had taught him to distinguish between genuine artistic exploration and intellectual masturbation masquerading as method. 4. Sharon Stone. The seismic cultural impact of Basic Instinct in 1992 transformed Sharon Stone from relative obscurity into Hollywood royalty overnight. But the metamorphosis created unprecedented power struggles with Michael Douglas that would define their volatile professional relationship. Stone's sudden ascension to A-list status during filming generated tensions that extended far beyond typical co-star dynamics into territorial battles over creative control and star treatment. Douglas, accustomed to being the unquestioned alpha presence on set, found himself confronting an actress whose newfound confidence manifested in constant challenges to his interpretive choices. Sharon discovered her power during that film, revealed cinematographer John DeBon. Every day brought new demands about lighting, dialogue delivery, and scene blocking that Michael viewed as territorial encroachment on his established domain. The infamous interrogation scenes became particular flashpoints where Stone's suggestions for character motivation clashed with Douglas's preference for directorial authority. Her insistence on exploring psychological subtext through extended rehearsals frustrated Douglas, who believed excessive analysis would diminish the raw sexual tension that drove their performances. Director Paul Verhoeven frequently found himself arbitrating disputes that reflected deeper philosophical differences about craft and collaboration. Michael approached the role with surgical precision, Verhoeven later told Film Comment. Sharon wanted to excavate emotional truth through constant experimentation, which created beautiful chaos but also genuine animosity. The tension culminated during post-production when Stone's publicity demands began overshadowing Douglas's established star status. She went from supporting player to cultural phenomenon, observed producer Alan Marshall. Michael never quite forgave Hollywood for allowing that transformation to diminish his own centrality to the film's success. Third, Demi Moore. The 1994 workplace thriller Disclosure arrived at the height of Demi Moore's commercial dominance, pairing her with Michael Douglas in a provocative exploration of sexual harassment and corporate power dynamics. Yet the film's progressive themes masked backstage conflicts that revealed fundamental incompatibilities between two vastly different approaches to dramatic preparation and professional hierarchy. Moore's intensive research methodology, which included consulting with actual harassment victims and corporate attorneys, created scheduling conflicts that irritated Douglas's preference for efficient production workflows. Demi would arrive with pages of character backstory that went far beyond the script's requirements, revealed costume designer Ellen Moroznik. Michael viewed this as academic overindulgence that slowed down practical filmmaking necessities. The tension escalated during intimate confrontation scenes where Moore's emotional preparation rituals clashed with Douglas's instinctive performance style. Her insistence on extended warm-up periods and psychological exercises frustrated Douglas, who believed authentic reactions emerged from spontaneous interaction rather than methodical emotional archaeology. The professional friction reached its zenith when Moore suggested script modifications that would strengthen her character's agency while potentially diminishing Douglas's dramatic arc. She wanted to transform a morally complex thriller into a feminist empowerment narrative, observed producer Barry Levinson. Michael saw this as betraying the story's essential ambiguity for political correctness. 2. Glenn Close. The psychological masterpiece Fatal Attraction in 1987 unleashed Glenn Close's most terrifying creation upon cinema history. But her total immersion into Alex Forrest's unhinged psyche created an atmosphere of genuine unease that extended far beyond the camera's reach. Michael Douglas found himself confronting not just a co-star, but a performer whose method acting commitment blurred the dangerous line between artistic dedication and psychological obsession. Close's preparation involved extensive psychiatric research and character development exercises that left her partially inhabiting Alex's disturbed mindset even during breaks between scenes. Glenn would remain in character during lunch, speaking in Alex's voice and maintaining that predatory intensity, recalled script supervisor Kay Chapin. Michael became visibly uncomfortable with her refusal to drop the persona when cameras stopped rolling. The discomfort intensified during the film's most psychologically demanding sequences, where Close's unwavering commitment to emotional authenticity created genuine tension that Douglas struggled to compartmentalize. Her insistence on exploring every facet of Alex's deteriorating mental state through improvisational exercises pushed Douglas beyond his comfort zone into territory he considered unnecessarily disturbing. Director Adrian Lyne witnessed daily confrontations between Close's immersive technique and Douglas's preference for professional boundaries. Glenn lived inside that character's skin, Lyne explained to Empire magazine. Michael needed to separate performance from reality, but Glenn's method made that impossible for everyone around her. 1. Kathleen Turner. The evolution from romantic chemistry to bitter antagonism between Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner represents one of Hollywood's most dramatic collaborative deteriorations, spanning from their initial success in Romancing the Stone through their devastating finale in War of the Roses. What began as electric on-screen partnership devolved into barely concealed hostility that transformed their final collaboration into a grueling endurance test. Turner's emerging feminist consciousness during the late 1980s increasingly clashed with Douglas's traditional Hollywood hierarchy expectations. Kathleen arrived on War of the Roses with completely different priorities than our previous films, revealed production designer Ida Random. She questioned every creative decision through a political lens that Michael found exhausting and counterproductive to storytelling. The ideological warfare extended beyond character interpretation into fundamental disagreements about power dynamics both on-screen and behind the camera. Turner's demands for equal creative input and her challenges to establish production protocols created daily friction that director Danny DeVito struggled to manage. Every conversation became a debate about gender representation and artistic authority, DeVito later told Premiere magazine. Douglas's frustration peaked during emotionally demanding divorce scenes, where Turner's method acting intensity seemed designed to channel genuine personal animosity. She used our professional history as emotional ammunition, Douglas reportedly complained to close associates. The performance became indistinguishable from actual revenge. These creative battlegrounds reveal the volatile chemistry required for cinematic greatness. Douglas's uncompromising vision, while generating friction, ultimately produced some of Hollywood's most memorable performances. Subscribe for more behind-the-scenes revelations from cinema's most legendary feuds.